I'll have a client close their eyes and just sit and breathe with their hands on their chest until they tap into that inner truth, inner guide inside, and they can have an experience of it with me right in the office. And then I'll teach them how they might talk to themselves in a more gentle, loving, accepting, compassionate way. So it might sound something like, I am here for you. Whenever I need support or guidance or I feel afraid, I can come right here and put my hand on my belly and my chest and connect inside with my inner truth, with peace, with my knowing. Hey friends, it's Quenby Gallahan. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist here in the state of California. I've been a therapist for well over a decade, and this channel, The Grateful Therapist, is all about mental health and counseling tips and personal growth. So if you're like me and you like learning about that sort of stuff, make sure you're subscribed. Today I want to talk about the most important relationship that you have in your life, and that is your relationship with yourself. I work with almost every client who comes into my private practice around developing a sense of safety, security, confidence, trust from the inside. I'm sure many of you have the experience of trying to control the externals in your life, trying to control the circumstances outside of you so that you can feel better, so that you can feel comfortable and safe. And sometimes we can do that. Sometimes we can set good boundaries with people. I have a video all about boundaries. I love boundaries. Boundaries are so important to teach other people how you want to be treated, to know what's okay with you and what's not okay. I love boundaries. However, there are many circumstances in life where you cannot control the things outside of yourself. You're going to have to deal with difficult people at some point, maybe at school, or at work, or in your family, situations where you can't just set a hard boundary. And your sense of safety and security has to come from within. Confidence is something most of us struggle with at some point in our lives, but I think it is very important and very well worth the time to begin to teach yourself how to love yourself, like yourself, believe in yourself, and most importantly, trust in yourself. We can't always trust the circumstances outside of us because we don't know what people are going to say or what they're going to do. So it's so important that you trust yourself, that you know that you are there for yourself, that you are going to take care of yourself no matter what. No matter what challenges come along, you're not going to abandon yourself. So how do we begin to develop this very important relationship that we need to have within ourselves? There are so many different ways that different therapists are going to work with this issue. I'm just going to talk about a few of the ways I begin to work with people to like themselves more, take care of themselves, and trust themselves. One important intervention that I do as a therapist in counseling is just begin the conversation about who are you? How do you want to put yourself out there in the world? How do you want to show up? And we always have talks about values. Values are so important. What are your thoughts and beliefs that guide you in your life? This is a great thing to journal on. You could use any of those questions and sit down and write on a piece of paper or in a journal or make an art project about, but just begin to ask yourself, how do I want to move through the world? How do I want other people to see me? How do I want to be known? What brings me a sense of meaning and purpose in my life? Knowing your own values and beliefs that are going to guide you through the world is extremely important to understanding yourself. I also think it's helpful to help others and remind them of what their strengths are. For many of us, it's so easy to see the strengths in other people, but it's hard to honor them and own them in ourselves. So what are your strengths? What have you moved through? What challenges have you moved through? And how have you done it? What strengths had to show up? Are you a great communicator? Are you a really kind person? Are you great at taking care of people? Are you smart? Are you calm? What are the things maybe other people who love you might say about you, and write them down to yourself. What are your strengths? What are you proud of? What have you achieved? So get really familiar with what your strengths are, what's positive about you. It is not arrogant or conceited to write these down in your journal for yourself. You should know what they are so that when life throws you things and there are bumps along the way, you can come back to your knowing your truth, that you are smart, you are caring, you are kind, you are helpful. Whatever it is your strengths are, get really familiar with what those are. Something that a lot of clients say is, I'm so good at taking care of other people, and I'm really not good at taking care of myself. Does that sound familiar to any of you? Or I'm so good at listening to people, I'm always in the listening role. People don't even ask, how are you doing? They just know I'm going to listen to them. That is very common. I see it with many of my clients and patients, but especially with women and a lot with teenage girls. And I think it's something that we need to change. I think it's something that we need to recognize in ourselves and say, hey, I'm really good at taking care of other people, but not necessarily that good at taking care of myself. What are ways that I can take care of myself? Good self-care is really important. Valuing yourself, thinking that you are worth the time for other people to take care of you, that you have something to say, that you're worth being listened to. So a lot of this is working with your thoughts as well. Beginning to catch yourself when you notice that you are putting somebody else before you. Is it important in life to help other people and serve them? Absolutely. I think it's one of the things that brings the most meaning to our lives. Being of service to others is extremely important. But you've heard people say, put your own oxygen mask on first. It is very hard, my friends, to help others if you're not taking care of yourself. Self-care is so important. Liking yourself, knowing yourself, and taking care of yourself so that you feel healthy enough, so that you have the energy that you can give and be generous to others, and you can help other people. One of the things I do as a therapist is listen to how people talk about themselves. What is their narrative? Are they talking about themselves negatively? Are they devaluing themselves and their place in the world and how others should treat them? And I call them out with a lot of empathy, very gently around this and say, hey, I noticed you just talked really negatively about yourself. You just said you're not good at this, or you're not worth this, or I would probably mess it all up. I try and help clients change their narrative, how they're talking to themselves, what do they think about themselves. And the first step in that is awareness. People need to be made aware when they are talking about themselves in a derogatory way. Sometimes they don't even realize it. It's pretty unconscious. That's one of the ways counseling or therapy, meditation, mindfulness practices like yoga can really help you see places that you might be blocked to this. Then I start giving clients new language, new ways to talk about themselves so that they catch themselves when they are saying something negative about themselves, and then they can insert some new ideas and new thoughts about themselves that are more kind and loving. I do a lot of modeling. So I will stop and say, wow, if I caught myself saying, you're never going to learn this, I might change my language so that instead I said something like, wow, I'm a little nervous about this because it's new, but I know I can do it. I know I can try, and I know it's going to work out okay. Helping others to catch their negative belief systems and thoughts about themselves is so helpful because the way we think about ourselves creates our reality. Many of you could begin to practice this at home, but it's really helpful to have a counselor or a therapist who might be able to guide you in these practices. But I will simply help people to think about a totally different way that they could talk about themselves, that they could talk to themselves. Often when I model this, people are like, wow, I never talk to myself like that. So for example, I will have a client take one hand and put it on their heart, another hand on their belly, breathe in and get relaxed, and just begin to feel into themselves, into their truth, into their inner knowing. You can call this whatever name works for you, whether you want to call it spirit, soul, consciousness, love, inner knowing, inner voice. Insert any words that work here for you, because I don't think it matters what the words are around it. As long as it's something that you feel comfortable with and you can connect with. I'll have a client close their eyes and just sit and breathe with their hands on their chest until they tap into that inner truth, inner guide inside, and they can have an experience of it with me right in the office. And then I'll teach them how they might talk to themselves in a more gentle, loving, accepting, compassionate way. So it might sound something like, I am here for you. Whenever I need support or guidance or I feel afraid, I can come right here and put my hand on my belly and my chest and connect inside with my inner truth, with peace, with my knowing. And from that place inside, a new voice emerges, one that is compassionate, loving, caring, has the best for you, whatever you want to call that in your life. God, love, spirit, awareness, energy, any word that works for you. You can do this regardless of what your spiritual or religious beliefs are. And speaking to yourself from that loving, kind, compassionate place that says, I will be here for you. I will never leave you. I will support you no matter what. If you're upset, you can come here for support and guidance. I know things are hard, but I am here for you. This is a place available to anybody. It's just a way of connecting with yourself. And from that place of calm, the language often sounds really different to how we're going to talk to ourselves. It's usually more loving, more compassionate, more kind. There's more truth there. So I'll do this practice with clients in the office, and then they can begin to practice it at home. And they can connect in with the deepest, truest part of themselves that doesn't have labels, that doesn't feel so afraid, that isn't as worried about what people think. And if you can develop that relationship with yourself from the inside, you are very powerful. You are very confident because you know you will always be there for yourself. Even if somebody at work says something that's really upsetting to you, you can come back to your inner knowing that you are good, you are safe, you are whole. If you're in a difficult relationship and you feel misunderstood, you can come back, put your hand on your heart and your belly, and be in a place where you are always loved, always heard, always understood. No matter where you go in the world, no matter where you are, you can find this place of inner knowing, this home with yourself, inside of yourself. It's a very simple, very valuable practice. So I hope some of these tips about how to connect with yourself, how to build a relationship where you can count on yourself, like yourself, feel at peace. I hope this is helpful to you in some way. If you try these practices, please make sure to leave me a comment and let me know. And I appreciate you for watching. I'll see you friends in the next video. Bye.